Just like that, Jeff Styles, it says we're live.
Hello. Are we here? We are here. We are here. We are here.
Are we, though?
Say the Who's down in Whoville as Horton's big old flappy ear is picking it up and nobody else can hear it. That doggone mama kangaroo.
Look at you starting off with, all right, so let me do this because I always like to check it before you go off on your, because you give gold. You're an infotainment gold mine is what you are. And
I'm Rick Davis.
Huh?
I'm Rick Davis of the podcast world.
You are now. Let's see what we sound like here. Here we come in. There'll be noise in a few seconds. And yeah. Let's hear what you say.
I'm Rick Davis.
Yep, there we go. We sound pretty good. You are the Rick Davis of the podcast world. This is the Jeff Styles podcast, the UpFront wrap-up. It's part of the Nooga Podcast Network. You can find these at thejeffstyles.com or again, Nooga Podcast. Podcast is plural.
Yeah.
Jeff, why don't you set up what we do? I'm sorry, Rick.
No.
Why don't you set up what we do?
Now you have a friend in the gold delivery business. Okay, we all know it's the single topic today. I mean, it won't be hopefully we'll get a few more in, but there's one major topic today. The upfront wrap up and the weekend wind up, similar show on Friday that Jeff Styles of the Y and Clint Powell, the Podfather, do. It's a headline curating service. I go out and essentially the premise is this. I go out and watch the legacy and mainstream media, listen to the regular good old mainstream talk radio, read the magazines, read the newspapers, and come on back. And I've got, information feeds like everybody else on my phone and just give you the headlines as I see them. I got a lot of experience in garnering and talking about headlines as an entertainment forum. And that's what we try to do. Neither one of us have any great area of expertise in any of the subjects and topics we're talking about.
What? That felt good.
And feel free to do that again and again.
What the?
And then this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do this one too. This is always a good one. With the glasses, look.
Yeah.
Jeff, that's interesting.
And I'll do this.
Oh, Illuminati. He's Illuminati.
I'll make the upside down vagina sign with my hands and look up as
hey, we're live,
prayerful. Right? Yeah. And that means I'm deep in thought about, I don't know, an upside down vagina.
I do this one. I do this one right here. Huh.
Clearly the topic today, and I just told Clint, I said, I don't see any need. This is one of those times when I don't think arguing amongst Americans is going to do us any good. We are now fully committed to a war in Iran.
We'll leave all the arguing to our pseudo leaders,
and actually,
we might have points of.
No, I was going to say I'm going to do this in a very linear style. This won't be it'll sound just like I'm rambling like always, but I'm actually going to be kind of going from the top to the bottom in real time as I took notes, almost exclusively on my phone because things were happening so quickly Saturday morning. So if we run past something on the timeline, don't freak out. We'll probably come back and pick it up. Now, I am going to, I don't really have it in me today, not on any level, to be a devil's advocate, but I will be bringing up some of the things that other corners of our country, other aspects of our governance and certain people within it, some of the framework that they use and some of the observations they're making, which will not be fully supportive. And Clint can comment as we go pretty much on anything he wants to.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and kind of start at the very, very top. Operation Epic Fury. It is the sixth, let's call it war-like. We're calling this one a war. Military operation conducted from White House South, which they've taken to calling Mar-a-Lago. Trump took to Truth Social. I'm not exactly sure what time the attack began. Normally, I would have that information because it always seemed kind of important, but I never heard it mentioned. If there was an exact time when the first missile hit or when the first jet released its first, payload, I don't know. I will say this very quickly just to get a little bit of credit, like you guys couldn't have said the same thing. But the last thing I said to Rebecca Friday night, literally, as I'm walking up the steps to go to bed, she always stays up later than me, as I said, I will be shocked if we're not at war with Iran before the end of the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Last thing I said. And when I woke up Saturday morning, I regretted the fact that I didn't text you and say the same thing. I thought about it.
I trust you though, Jeff.
I thought about it.
I don't trust the media,
literally, just send you. I said, dude, if we're not at war by the time we do this, the podcast on Monday.
Well, diplomacy was getting nowhere. They were using it as a stall tactic all the time. So,
well, yeah, I'm all right. The first thing that a lot of people are going to say over the next several days and weeks, we may have been using it as a stall tactic. And I'll just let that one lay where it is.
Yeah.
Again, you don't put that kind of firepower in place generally if you don't mean to use it.
And he'd been putting it in place for weeks.
Yeah,
so it's not like
that.
it was. Yeah,
I understand that. So it's.
I think he was trying to. Here's what I think. I think he was hoping that by that show, after what had happened in Venezuela, and just what he's done the first term and this term, I think he was hoping that they would go, you know what, this guy doesn't mess around, so let's come to the table and advocate.
All of our allies who are essentially at best frenemies in the Mideast, who were working with us, chief among them Oman, trying to come up with a non-military solution to this, ongoing 50-year crisis that we've had with Iran. They said that they had just been told, these are the Oman ambassadors and envoys, had just been told by they would not name the American source, by the highest-ranking American sources, that a deal was on the table that would have been much stronger and better than the one Obama, was able to pull off, and that everything looked good.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, they're getting attacked as well.
I think
by Iran.
Well, yeah, but I think just between you and I think the administration has learned that, I think they did tell the big eight like they were supposed to. And the reason I pushed back on the world war is because he's got 60 days to take this to Congress, because this has been used 1,000 times between Obama and Clinton. My point is, I don't think they're telling anybody unless the people they have to tell because leaks. And I don't think they trust anybody.
They gave a heads up to the rest of the G7 countries. Yeah, G8, Russia's be the number 8. I think we've switched that around a little bit. They're probably coming back. They gave them a heads up.
They didn't call me or you, though.
Pretty much as missiles were in the air.
Oh, yeah.
And there are all kinds of anecdotal, again, that was my prediction as I walk up the steps in Sequatchie County, Tennessee.
Friday night.
So other people in a bar, who were overheard talking about bombing Iran, that doesn't mean that they actually knew anything. No. You're going to hear a bunch of that. His first Truth Social with that beautiful white hat just instills confidence in me. All I want is freedom for the people and a safe country. Well, all right. Well, we can come back to that later. I don't know exactly what. Here's the biggest question.
Okay.
What did we think step 2, phase B was going to be? Did we actually have an idea in our own upper hierarchy, of what was going to happen next? I can look at Venezuela and say, well, man, we pulled off a beautiful military operation. And then basically we just pulled out and said, you're on your own. We're going to take the oil. You guys figure it out. We left the exact same bad people in place with the exception of the dictator and his wife. And right now it's got, okay, what is the next plan? I'm sure they have contingency plans down the line, but they haven't shared them with us.
No, I don't think they will.
We think that what we would like to have happen. It appears like we're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to decapitate the monster. And give me a second, I'll come back to that. I'm not against this on principle. We're going to decapitate the monster, and then we're going to hope for the best. That's what Plan B seems to be like right now. Let me go back and touch on that right now. Clint, I thought about it, and of course, I've got my old notes. No, most of them I gave to you and you threw away. But I mean, I could go back.
I keep them in the Jeff Styles library.
I can think of at least 3 times since we've been doing this podcast that I have come in here exasperated beyond belief on a Monday or a Friday morning and have said these words.
Okay.
Iran has got to go.
Oh, yeah.
That was the quote.
Yeah.
All 3 times I literally started the podcast by saying Iran has got to go. As we're looking at the Houthis, we're looking at Hamas, we're looking at Hezbollah, we're looking at all the starting terrorist groups that they've funded over all this time, the Islamic State and Palestine, and all of the troubling aspects of doing business in that neck of the woods because of these sons of bitches. I have absolutely no remorse for my country or for my president or for me as an American citizen in taking out the Ayatollah and his top military brass. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. Having said that, there are still lots of questions, I think, that have to be asked about how America deals with this. Later on today, as I walked out the door, Pete Hegseth was addressing the first time we've seen him since this started. We saw the first recording from Trump with the hat. We saw the second one on Truth Social where he actually had his normal, blue blazer, red tie on and had his hair coiffed. Have not seen Hegseth until I was walking out the door this morning. And I'm going to I only heard 5 minutes of it. I swear to God, though, it sounded like AI had written the speech. There was nothing I heard, and Rebecca actually tested me a couple of things that he said. It was par for the course. It was check the boxes, a couple of little flubs. I don't really care about that right now. We are at war. We're using the word war, not military.
And the White House
military
isn't.
Position. Yeah, the White House is.
Oh, are they?
I
haven't seen them say the word war.
No, Trump specifically on that first one with the hat said war. And there you go. So Hegseth's talking today. Don't know what all got said because I was driving, and I can only express my deep disappointment in local broadcasters. Surely to God, this morning they would be breaking in to normal programming and at least talking a little bit about the fact that America was at war in the Mideast. We'd be getting some kind of updates, some kind of local opinion, some kind of mention. On the way in, not one thing did I hear, other than little bits and pieces of national news being broadcast because they're required to do it on the way in. I promise you, if this had happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we would have had our entire on-air staff in the studio on Saturday and Sunday, keeping people up to date with what was happening because people want to know. And it's just discouraging.
Can we stop there for a minute?
Sure.
Because I want to talk about give you my 2 cents on a few of the things. Again, not an argumentative. And here, I want to talk about the media, especially the local here for you in a minute. But I just want to say this. My opinion on this stuff, or my take, is yes to almost everything and no to almost everything. And here's why. I've got a list of things that I've pulled up and kind of ready for this conversation of 20 to 30, 40 years that Iran has done that's killed United States service people. I also have up things to talk about how we've heard it 6 months away. And then the thing that has always stopped that has been sabotaging of a facility, assassination. It's always prolonged it. I also see the other side of no more wars. And I see the hypocrisy on both sides of this needs congressional approval when it's your guy, it doesn't when our guy. I also see that I don't like sending troops over there when there's no immediate threat, but do we wait till they become the threat? My opinion on this is the same as it's been on so many things with Trump or any politician. The devil, all those old axioms that our grandparents used, the devil's in the details, the proof is in the pudding. He said 4 weeks-ish. We're going to be, let's see. Here's the difference. If Vietnam had been handled correctly, if the war in Iraq had been handled correctly, and there was a clear definition of a win, then I think perspective looking back, we'd all feel very different. Our perspective looking back on those things is because they were handled like shit. And there was this mishmash of, is this a win? Is it a victory? What the hell are we doing now? If it gets to the point where that's this, then he will lose my support on this as fast as anybody else. I just don't know because they're keeping their cards close to their vest on this. They're not going to come out and go, by the way, we're going to go ahead and give every signal to everybody that may fight against us on what our plan is. That's my take on it. So me and you are going to, I don't have a feeling if we're doing the right thing or not right now. It's really weird and it feels like, I'm just in this gray area because I understand it, but then I don't understand it. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And again, we'll get more into details, but no, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of area of disagreement today.
No, we can't. We don't know much.
The instant Reuters poll that they actually took yesterday shows that exactly 27%, well into the third that he's used to, closer to a quarter, of support no matter what he does. 27% say they approve of it now. That's before the Dow futures right now are dismal. Mm-hmm. So when the market opens up here in about 45 minutes, we might get real.
Oil's already gone up.
It'll be 30 to 40 cents today a gallon.
Right.
Today. By the end of the week, it'll probably be more than that.
Right.
And they don't even affect our flow. This is just about global supply. No, I think.
Well, we don't.
And again, you've got them. If you want to run through them, feel free. But there's no use. We all know.
I don't think
we go all the way. I was there in 1979,
83.
When the students took over and kicked out the Shah. Now we have, of course, the son of the Shah poised, sitting there, ready to come back. Those were not necessarily good old days. The Shah supported us.
Better than now.
But the Shah supported us, but certainly the Revolutionary Guard taking over and the Iranian Republic and the demagoguery that they have, the theocracy, certainly has a word for us. But I don't know that if we're going, bravely backwards into time to just another bad situation, which happened to be easier on us. But let me run through that.
Okay.
I'm saying we all know all the things that happened, barracks, bases, Marines, ships, the coal, for God's sake. This is all Iran. There's nobody thought Iran was a good guy. Nobody is going to apologize for Iran. Again, what is step 2, phase B? We seem to be acting like the entire country of Iran is going to rush into the streets to do what the protesters are doing, saying, let's take our country back. We're begging them, get out there and do your job, take the country back. We've given you the opportunity. I don't know what the percentage is, but tens of thousands of people went into Revolutionary Square yesterday, Revolution Square, and were in mourning, beating themselves about the head and shoulders and whapping themselves in the face and wailing. A lot of Iranians supported the regime,
and a lot of them were celebrating,
Muslim.
And that's that is the issue. I know you want to go down your list, but go ahead, keep going unless I can throw one thing out there.
Okay, no.
Yeah, well, there's a guy listening named PBD Podcast. It's Patrick Bet Davis. He came over here from Iran when he was a child. His mom and dad, they brought him over here, and he's got a great podcast. He's a veteran in the United States. And he talked about his mom and dad. His dad disagreed in the 70s when you were talking about that switch.
Their families are split over there the way our families are split about MAGA.
So here's that. So his dad was like, no, this is bad. His mom was for it because that guy was promising free stuff. He was promising we're going to enlighten things. And so she went out and protested for. And as soon as he got power, took away everything.
Yeah.
He took away everything. And he says, I remember my mom and my dad arguing about this. He goes, that's why we came here. He goes, so going back in time for him at least was a place where his mom could go to college when she was going, before that.
It was a complete first world nation that had all the perks of Western civilization, and the women were doctors and lawyers. Again, it was almost like we talk about the Trail of Tears and the Cherokee people. We think of them living in tents. No, they were living in big houses, and they had slaves and they had ranches. And we took all that crap away from them and put them on a trail with a bunch of smallpox-riddled blankets to Oklahoma, a place they'd never been before. That's the equivalent of what they did when they took over in Iran and told the women, you can't go to school anymore, you can't work anymore, you can't be seen anymore, you got to put a burqa on, got to walk around in the heat with a blanket on your body, and if you don't, we'll kill you.
Let's do the local media real quick, and then I'm going to back out of this completely for a while and let you go through your list. The local media thing you did, I thought was a pretty good take because I was there, not on the air, of course. I was, hopefully generating some revenue based off your talents, but I was there for quite a while. I mean, give or take, if you add the 2 times I was there, probably over 10 years, close to maybe 11 or 12. And I remember anything that happened, anything, local or international, it was all hands on deck. My question to you, though, is it is disappointing.
Very.
But do you think that it is because people are getting their information off this thing now and this thing now, do you think the demand is not there, or do you think?
No, I think the demand is absolutely there.
Or do you think they've just given their hands?
No, I think that it's been corporate media ownership has caused them to abdicate anything that might be controversial.
Okay, now I agree with.
And in the days that I was talking about, the music station would have been breaking in with reports between every songs because people were hungry. No, I don't think the need for information, the desire for knowing what is going on has been sated at all by the fact that we have more information available to us. I think it just makes us that much hungrier.
Yeah.
I think they just walked away from their broadcast license and what they're supposed to be doing to inform their community when things are going on. And I'm telling you, US 101 and at KZ 106, people would have been cutting in live with updates because people were hungry for it. And I didn't hear word one on any radio station.
And talk radio would have been all hands on.
In the way in.
And they'd have been all hands on. Okay,
so
back to you.
Anyway, just the initial strike, from what I could tell, is we hit 7 targets, cities, just put cities in there. By the time 2:30 in the afternoon rolled around, it was 17. And now we know it was in the hundreds. And Iran proper. The Israeli news early on Saturday morning, 8:45 a.m. approximately, claimed that the top layer of Iranian leadership was killed across the board. Their military leadership was taken out. It took us a long time to verify that was indeed the case, but that was out there fairly early. Their counterstrikes immediately, the one thing I think everybody was surprised by, and if they say they were not surprised by, certainly, again, a contingency, a possibility, an option, I don't think anybody could have actually put their cards on the table, said, Iran will attack all of their neighbors at once. What they will send off just wave upon wave of drones, autonomous drones built to destroy at all of their neighbors, virtually every single. I don't think anybody was spared. And that may be the biggest mistake they ever made.
Because it brought a lot of people that were going to stay out, and they were like, "Oh, whoa, you're not going to do this."
The people that we communicated with in the Mideast, we told Oman one thing, according to that one envoy. Saudi Arabia knew exactly what we were doing because we asked permission to use their airspace, and they said, "No, we don't want to be a part of it. You cannot use our airspace." Saudi Arabia got hit, and guess what? Guess what they declared yesterday? We are going to strike back. They hit us. We're going to hit them. My best guess from high atop the lonely mountain in Sequatchie County, Tennessee, with no resources available to me that you don't have, my take on it is that they literally, what they now have is a bunch of, we talked about, we always talk about taking off the head. We have a bunch of units out there who are armed, Revolutionary Guard units and military who don't have orders and are just doing what this lieutenant and this sergeant and this
are you talking about from the countries,
this commander,
from the different countries,
or the Iranian army? They're just doing what they think they should do, which is let's attack the friend of our enemy, who are also supposed to be our friend. Let's just attack because we've got stuff to attack with. Just go after the nearest target that has anything to do with the United States of America. Yeah. So they launched their counterstrikes, about 200 strikes in the United Arab Emirates. Abu Dhabi got rained on. The tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, this close to getting taken out by a drone. It missed it by a couple of 20 or 30 feet.
Wow.
It fell to the base of the tower instead of hitting that huge spire. About 7 neighboring countries in all in the first wave of counterstrikes. Now, Congress is going into emergency session today. The War Powers Act will be debated. The Democrats may be able to force a vote. It seemed to me that the Republicans had already rallied around. And again, a lot of Republicans were caught flat-footed. They had the same thought I did. We're going to do this. They just didn't know when. They didn't know how. And a lot of them are MAGA folks who said, let's not get involved in any foreign entanglements. We ran on no foreign wars. We ran on no empire building. We ran on no, regime change. And they're upset, but they have to rally. So I think you're going to see a partisan vote later today on the War Powers Act. Lindsey Graham was praising the planning, and it talked about the planning 2 or 3 times. And again, that brings up, was there ever, your gut take on this, was there ever any real intention of a peaceful outcome through negotiations?
My gut?
Yeah.
There was. Yeah, but I said it a minute ago, excuse me. There was, but it had one scenario. It had one scenario. We will not do any enrichment of nuclear materials. That's it.
Yes.
And we will lay down our weapons. That was the only. So yeah, I think I think that's the reason he was bringing all of that arms to bear. And I think he was going, hey, common sense, look back at my track record. I don't get in projected long-term wars. I go in with a mission to do something and get it done. You should know that, dear leaders. And I think they took it for granted. I think that was one option.
It's already started. Marjorie Taylor Greene came out of her, retirement to basically said, again, and I'm going to put words in her mouth, and she said this over and over again, we're basically being a tool of Israel. I don't believe that, but we know Israel has been begging us to do this for a long time, and guess what? So has the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. They wanted to stay out of it, but they wanted to see this happen. So are we acting on their behalf, our behalf, a little mixture of both? The Greeks, by the way, so you guys will know this, the Greeks run shipping. When you say shipping, when you say container shipping, when you say oil transportation, you're talking about Greeks. The Greeks shut down all of their shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Other countries immediately followed. That's 20% of the global oil production and usage. Every single day, 20% flows through that strait. And it's sitting on anchor this morning. And we have had at least 3 tankers that have been hit by Iranian drones.
I will throw this in there. The other reason I think, I don't know, I think personally, I think people underestimate Trump a lot on this stuff. I think he knows that if this doesn't go according to a plan that he is not obligated to tell me and you about as civilians right now, because I'm sure there's stuff in there that is beyond our first understanding. Second is, sometimes you have to do things that are, how many times has a country had to work with other countries they do not agree on in principle, or do things that may seem to not make any sense because we don't know all the information. But he knows this. If it doesn't go well, he's done. And what I mean by he's done, I don't mean that he'll lose his 30% of support, Jeff. What I mean is the midterms are over. And when the midterms are over and he starts losing support in the Republican base in leadership, his presidency at that point is a no-show. It's going to be constant conflict. They'll get nothing done. And his presidency, I think, hinges on the next 2 months.
It is a gamble. It is a political gamble.
Oh my God!
And again, I don't think there'll be any of the catchphrases we won't get to between now and the end of the show. I'm just going to go and keep going down the timeline. I'm not going to. I'm not going to do any point by point. There's plenty of time for that. This isn't going to go anywhere anytime soon
because it's going to change every
Persian
hour.
Gulf of Oman again. Oil traffic, tanker traffic just shut down. The first tanker that got hit was flying the flag of Palau. Again, just a little insight into the industry of transporting oil back and forth and these tanker ships. Where's Palau? What is Palau? What does the flag of Palau look like? Nobody knows.
I do. Hold on one second.
Is it actually?
Hold on one second. Let me.
I think that was Spock's mom's name. I think it was Palau or Tapau or
right
something
past
like
Uranus? I don't know where Palau is.
By the way, went outside and watched the planetary alignment last night.
I was going to say, I don't know what got your mind when I said Uranus. You got excited.
That was the one you. I couldn't see Uranus. I couldn't see Neptune. I couldn't see Mercury, but I could see Mars and Jupiter and Saturn and Sirius. And Venus was below. It was the only one that didn't come to the party. All of them lined up in a straight line across the sky.
That must have been cool.
It was.
Did that create a smile on my friend and my Jeff Styles?
Both me and Rebecca were out there with our field glasses. Don't call them binoculars when you're the daughter of a birder, because they're not binoculars.
They're all binoculars. They're binoculars.
So OPEC has pledged to increase oil production to try to calm the market, and the market's going to be crazy today. So, not done with the timeline, but we're just going to continue to go. The end game is on for Iran. Iran is about to fundamentally change. Right after October 7th, one of the first things I said, well, the Palestinians have signed their own death warrant before we even knew anything about what happened. And of course, that had proven to be completely 100% true. Yeah. Iran will never be the same. It is going to be regime change time.
Yeah.
The Ayatollah had a 5-layer order of succession that he had built around him. Mm-hmm. His son was in the position, and he took his son out and put a couple of other people in there because he didn't think his son was the guy for
his son's
job.
More moderate.
Most of those people are gone as of now. There is a 3-person Muslim, I will call it a conclave. In Iran, it's their version of a conclave within the Roman Catholic Church.
Okay.
We'll be meeting later today. The conclave will be voting on a longer range governance plan. There's also an emergency council in place today, which probably won't stay there very long.
I was going to say, if they're going to meet in council, I would suggest Zoom.
I'll get right out on the ragged edge.
I'll take that back. I think y'all should all get together.
I'll answer this question very quickly and succinctly. Every time you see somebody interviewing an expert on this, they go, "Why now? Why now? Well, Senator, why now? Well, former ambassador, why now? Well, expert in foreign affairs, why now?" Because they were all in the same place.
Talking about the talks that we were having with them.
They were all in the same place talking about the bartering deals. Process that we were in. And it's the first time that has happened since our spooks and Israel's spooks, whose spooks are the spookiest, have been watching them for about 5 or 6 months. Lindsey Graham, again, talked about the planning process of this. That's why I asked, do you think there was ever really any hope of actually coming out of this without a military attack? As soon as they gathered under the same roof, boom, there they go. So I'm like you. There's going to be a lot of phone calls, a lot of Zooms.
I wouldn't use pagers
a lot
either.
Of passing notes.
I wouldn't use pagers. I don't think we've actually seen the underbelly of this thing yet.
All right. Shift over a second.
Okay.
One of the things that you and I have both agreed on, one of the biggest problems with the open border, if it's 6 million, 10 million, or 20 million people that came across.
Doesn't matter.
We know for a fact that the American imagination was all about Latinos coming across. And when you paid attention, you saw it was a hell of a lot more Asians coming across, a lot of Chinese coming across, and a lot of people from the Mideast who could have passed for either Latin or Asian to an untrained eye, and they came in. And so we've been constantly talking about the sleeper cells, the terrorist cells, which could be waiting to be activated inside this country.
Yeah.
Here is my opinion statement I'm going to give you. We may see those things come to fruition in a very horrible, horrible way in the next few days, weeks, or couple of months. If it doesn't happen, then you know those things never existed. Because I think very much like that, the hypotheses I just put out there, you had military regiments that are now cut off that are just doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what's happening with any of the terrorist cells, if they exist in this country. I believe they do. I know you believe they do.
100%.
If they do not act, if they're not given orders, I can't help but think this is what they were sent here for. Maybe someone just checking out and go, well, you know what? It's not so bad over here. It's not really the great Satan. I'm living pretty large. But if you don't see domestic terror events, then you know that really never happened. That was something we were worried about that didn't occur. Having said that, Austin, Texas, just one guy in his 50s from Senegal, naturalized American citizen, goes into a bar at 2 o'clock Sunday morning and starts shooting people up. On the outside, he's got a hoodie on that says property of Allah. Under that, he's got a T-shirt on that has the Iranian flag on it.
With a Quran in his car.
And so is that, and apparently other materials inside his vehicle that show a nexus with terrorist networks. Was this guy working completely on his own? Was he radicalized on his own? Was this just the flip of the switch that said, I can't take it anymore? I got to strike out against the great Satan? Just mentally ill who decided to go ahead and go with these guys instead of these guys?
Yeah.
Or was it something that was planned?
Maybe. I don't know. The only pushback I would give on the sleeper cells, and I think I'd agree with you a lot, is that, first of all, sleeper cells also need orders, and I'm sure they already have them if they're here, because I'm not the expert here. Here, Clint is the PhD of Waffle House in East Ridge. But they also, once the head is decapitated and there's no support coming and there's no real reason to do it because your purpose has been cut off over here, they may just decide not to do anything. They may go, wait a minute, I'm not going to sit over and die for something that is not going to push a cause that now has no longer got any chance of making it because Iran, my supreme leader, has been taken out. To your other point, they may get over here and like America and assimilate a little bit and go, okay, this isn't so bad. Or Jeff, they could be waiting to the big 250th year anniversary. They could be waiting to Christmas. They might go, now that I don't have to answer to anybody, I'll do this when I want to.
They were given marching orders that said attack on the 4th of July as America celebrates its 250th, then that's probably what they're going to do.
That's my whole thing. I don't know if we can judge it in the next month.
And even though their home country that they're doing it for is now gone for all practical purposes, they're essentially automatons. Maybe they will react.
Maybe.
I expect to see domestic terror assaults from people that came across the border that were given their marching orders. I expect to see that.
And I think it's going to be more of these one person.
If I don't, I'm just going to go ahead and fall back and say, well, that was one of the, most of the worst things in my life. They never really happened. They're just crap I had, dreamed of.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're both wrong.
I do too.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of my time hoping I'm wrong. A lot of my predictions for what's going on in this world are pretty doggone dire, and I hope to God I'm wrong. The question about the Iranian population taken to the streets, there is no active, operable opposition party in Iran. There is no governmental or even societal structure that speaks for the minority, because to speak for the minority over there was to be taken out.
So this is their chance to form one, or if there's those underbellies to come out.
Chance.
Yeah.
I think that what we're looking at right now, though, again, I haven't seen the percentages. That'll all become more and more clear. We had people protesting in the streets against what we just did, and we had people celebrating what we did. So the worst case scenario, I think, for us is that what we've basically done is we've left a vacuum that will be filled by a civil war in Iran. And again, we have switched partners in this dance in the Mideast so many times. Remember, we were backing Saddam Hussein and Iraq from 1980 to 1988. They were our friends because they were fighting Iran.
Uh-huh.
And in 79, of course, Iran was our worst enemy. And then turn around in 91, Saddam Hussein became the most evil.
Didn't we have this thing called Iran Contra anyway? I mean, we've excuse me, we've gone back and forth with support. But again, that goes back to what the world looks like. I don't have to swear allegiance to any one thing unless it benefits us real quick. And Trump said this now or for our kids down the road.
you just said, what will this look like? And that's exactly what I was going to say. So this new beast that we're hoping for, whatever it is that we're hoping for, this new thing, what's it going to look like? We cut off one head, it's going to be like a hydra. So anyway,
maybe.
Khomeini was dead. Armed Forces Chief of Staff, Commander, Secretary of their they had a new defense council they had set up, all dead. I heard, and I haven't seen any confirmation, that the president, Masoud Pezeshkian,
I can barely say my name.
Was alive. I heard originally on Saturday 2 or 3 reports that he actually lived too. That he was struck, that he was targeted, but that he was alive. I haven't heard. Nobody's said anything yet.
Didn't France say that we could start using their air bases or something over there to help?
That I don't know.
I think so. I think I saw that. I'll look
I had to check out a few times over the course of the weekend just to keep myself sane. It was a lot. The new leader, unless there is more substantive change than even our most optimistic people can imagine, he will be male. He'll be a cleric. He'll be a hardliner. So we also have the constant back and forth. And Saturday Night Live, they did their cold open monologue with the guy that imitates Trump saying, they've been 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon for the last 15 years. There's a lot of truth in that. We've heard that over and over again. I will point out again, I came in and talked about this when we hit Operation Midnight Hammer, when we hit their nuclear missile sites. Trump kept saying that their nuclear program was obliterated. And I said very plainly, no, it's not. Israel is telling us it's not. Other Middle Eastern, intelligence operations are telling us it's not. We hit 3 sites, one of which was destroyed. There was total agreement. The other 2 were probably in the process of being rebuilt immediately. So the word obliterated came up again and again. Their nuclear program clearly was not obliterated, or we wouldn't have been doing this, because that's exactly what we're saying we were trying to do. So we're still trying to obliterate it. I'm just saying the fast and loose use of verbiage has been a problem I've had with President Trump from the very
Well, you think
beginning.
about this. If he hadn't said that word and just came out and said we did great damage, nobody would be using that against him right now. So me and you agree on the rhetoric right now. We agree on that.
That's where you have to take everything with a spoonful
Absolutely.
of salt.
Well, I said I speak Trump. Real quick, it was not France, it was Britain.
All right.
Sorry, my bad.
I heard 2 experts yesterday said, well, I hope one thing we did, we've now come to pretty much a consensus, including the Dove Democrats and the hardcore let's bring the boys home, let's isolate part of the Republican Party are all in agreement. They had enough enriched uranium for probably 10 standard nuclear weapons. Untold dirty bombs,
right?
But 10 big boom mushroom cloud weapons. What they had not yet done is used the centrifuges to put it into position to be able to actually turn it into a nuclear bomb for all practical purposes. They all said, we don't actually know where all the centrifuges are. That's one major concern. The other major concern is, where's that material? Have we secured the quote unquote stockpiles? Do we know where they are? Can we put our hands on them? And right now, not seeing any evidence that we do, certainly no hard evidence that we don't. It's a mystery.
Well, and 2, they have also, again, they have the missiles, ballistic, they can reach their neighbors pretty easily.
Yeah,
with this.
It was us.
They were trying to develop the intercontinental, the ballistic, the ICBs to go, by the way, we now can reach, New York, which they had not got done yet. And my thing is, waiting till they have it, to me, seems a little counterproductive.
We took out, now America focused on the ballistic sites, which were our biggest concerns, that you just said, and the military sites. Israel targeted mostly the government installations. Obviously, there was a mix and match in there. Now, the government installations would have included also military, a barracks of the Revolutionary Guard in southern Iran, which was right next to a girls' school. Whoever drew down aim on that particular barracks missed, or just took out as a collateral target, collateral damage, the girls' school. 118 dead in that one site. Was it ours? Was it theirs? We don't know. We hit them with a total internet blackout. That's one of the things that we have capacity for, that we don't really think about it as a first strike weapon, and we ought to all get it in our heads. That will now be probably job 1. Before the first fuse is lit, it will be going after an enemy's internet. They were down to 4%. They had, of the entire country, they had 4% capacity on the internet. We know we sank 9 of their ships. We took out their naval headquarters. About 4 p.m. on Saturday, a major ballistic strike in Tel Aviv took out a city block. We have suffered losses. We now have 4 dead, 4 severely wounded. We lost 3 jets overnight, if y'all haven't heard that.
Shot down by mistake.
It was Kuwait. The ones that we lost and the ones that are severely injured, our service people, were killed in Kuwait because Kuwait was targeted, and they now say it was Kuwait-friendly fire that took our F-15s
But those
down.
F-15s, they all ejected safely.
They all ejected.
So they weren't killed.
Two-person crews in an F-15, all 6 of them. But it does kind of make you wonder, well, usually the jets have their own defense systems against ground fire. We didn't have them switched on as we were flying over Kuwait.
Friendly fire, and they may not have had, I don't know how they
Fog of war.
Real quick, just not verified yet, because I am really interested in this one, because we saw this during the Palestinian, the Israel conflict of failed, the missiles they're just right now, it's not being confirmed where that missile originated from,
dying ducks
but both are investigating. Now, I will just be honest. Anything that's coming out of Iran right now, I'm not believing much of anything.
I don't know that there's a whole lot coming out. The only thing that I've heard come out of Iran.
Well, there's the ones that released that it was America that hit the.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, they're going to use that to their advantage. The only thing I've actually heard that's come out of Iran in the last, 14 to 16 hours is that President Trump said, I will be willing to talk to the new government, whoever that is. And some spokesperson in Iran says, no, we're not going to be talking to anybody. We're at war. Okay, so there you go. The U.S. Fifth Fleet was targeted. The Bahrain Hotel, I'm sure you guys all saw the footage of that from inside and outside. Absolutely just devastating. That's what one of those things will do. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about the swarms of drones. So one of them will do. Dubai is a ghost town. Talked about when that tower was so narrowly missed, everybody in Dubai went home and they have not come back out again.
You think?
Which is pretty doggone smart. Saudi Arabia mentioned them, going to open fire on themselves now, or on Iran for themselves now. Let's see here. A very, my conspiratorial hat coming out a little bit here. I just poo-pooed the idea during the street protests here against ICE, and people talking about, well, they have really nice signs. I'm like, that doesn't mean that there's some sort of conspiracy, for God's sake. Well, all the tents look alike, and I'm going, oh, come on.
It does mean they're all friendly.
It's people. It takes a couple of $100 to get 20 tents.
Yeah, but not 300.
I can call Jen Lambert down at Print Tree
and
get signs made up. Print Tree.
Who would you call?
Jen Lambert.
Thank you very much.
and I could send a couple of Benjamins down there and have some nice looking signs made between now and the time I get off the air. I'm not thinking that much about it, but boy, the Iranians in the street who were pro-Trump, both here and there, had some very nice looking signs that were already.
Is it possible that you've joined my side?
Already printed up that had all the right post-attack things to say on there. Most of them, again, pushing toward the reinstatement.
I just want to go on record right now that saying it can't only be one way. If one side's sponsored, then probably the other side's sponsored.
Reinstatement of the prince, the prince in exile, Reza Pahlavi, 65 years old, the son of the last Shah. Well, so we've already touched on that. He is sitting there just waiting to be brought home, just like the Venezuelan opposition.
But isn't he more moderate, I think? I think he's way more moderate.
He's the Shah.
Yeah.
He's the Shah.
Real quick, are you going to get to the response of the allies of Iran at all, China and Russia?
Take it right now.
No, I just was going to ask you about it because I've heard them say we've condemned it. We're going to have council meetings. First of all, anything Russia does that come out and says we need to talk about humanitarian rights, they can suck a bag of assholes. I don't believe anything they say. China's kind of the same way with what they've done. But I have been, again, as we have this recording, I always reserve the right to change my mind and my opinion because the devil is in the details. We'll see how this works out. But as of right now, I am very surprised there has not been more condemnation and more aggressive talk from China and Russia because Iran was giving a lot of weapons and drones to Russia and a lot of oil to China. They were the in-betweens.
80% of Iran's oil production, 80% went to China. The other 20% went to India.
It makes me wonder, though, if we're talking to them, like, we know you got to say some stuff out loud, but behind the scenes, here's what we're going to do.
That would be status quo. That would be normal. That would be the way governments usually deal with each other.
Like, hey, don't go back crazy out here.
Nobody thinks that the leader of their government is going to address the public and say, here's everything that's going on. I'm going to lay it out for you.
Well, neither is Trump.
Happen there.
But my thing on this is it just seems right now that Iran's on an island and all they're going to get is lip service because I don't think Russia wants to do anything. And this is a shot. Taiwan may be off the table for China right now. I don't know.
Well, it may be off the table.
Or do you think it's on the table?
We're sending a very, very strong message that we're capable of doing pretty much whatever we want to do. Iran is not China. Maybe, at this point, we're awfully preoccupied in Iran. China could be sitting there saying, you know what, get deeper, go ahead, get deeper. Yeah, you go ahead and take that, swallow it, hook, line, and sinker, and then boom. Come on, Taiwan.
We're not even using the stuff we used in Venezuela.
I asked the question, just a couple of weeks ago, would we go to Taiwan's defense now?
Oh, I don't know.
And that was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, hey, guys, we don't have an endless supply of Tomahawk missiles just sitting there waiting. They're not ammo, stacked up. You're like BBs.
Yeah.
So it's very questionable. All right, point of contention, I'm sure.
Oh, I don't know.
Just I know things change. A lot of things change.
Okay.
But just the apparent hypocrisy, two-faced, flip-flop attitude of, again, everything they ran on, America first. I brought this out. I made a big deal out of it. I remember that day. You were not as intrigued with it as I was when I said this is a sea change. It was December 6th of last year when Hegseth did his address at the Reagan Defense Forum. And he used, I'm going to paraphrase some and get one of the quotes at least exact. This is a change. This is what we're doing now. This is the new America Department of War. We will only commit troops when there is a direct, immediate threat to America. Mm-hmm. We have clear goals as to what we want to do and how we want to end it. As a last resort, we will no longer be global police at others' beck and call. Those are all that's paraphrasing. Exact quote, we will not be distracted by democracy building, interventionism, undefined wars, regime change, and feckless nation building, quote unquote. Now, I came in that day and I said, this is huge, y'all. This is a huge thing that we're telling the world that we're no longer going to be the globo cop. And it's bound to have some profound, prodigious effects on the way the world looks at us and how we deal with it. You can take all that and poof, make it go away. It just went away, as MTG said. As a lot of MAGA people are going to say, as a lot of America First people are going to say under their breath, maybe into a camera, maybe into a mic, certainly later on, what happened to that mentality? Things change? Yeah, well, you got elected. That's one thing that got changed. Midterms are coming up. That's another thing that's going to change. If I go back, I could find a dozen direct, pointed comments that Donald Trump himself said about Barack Obama going to war in Iran over and over and over again. He said he's going to invade Iran again and again and again because he doesn't have good negotiation skills, as a distraction because his polls are tanking. Stephen Miller said, Kamala and Liz Cheney are aligned with the neocons who want to go, they're hell-bent on going to war in the Mideast. All of this stuff was said from 2012 to 2024. What else happened? Is it a distraction? Is it instead of Operation Epic Fury, is it Operation Epstein Fury? Yeah, there's a whole lot of people out there who think this thing is a distraction from the Epstein files.
Why would he distract from Epstein? I'm
not buying into it.
Okay,
I said I would be throwing this stuff out there because this is what's being said out there by the people in the media that are covering it, not our local folks, but in the media that are covering it.
There's a lot of stuff being said out there, and we'll address it. Can I just go through your points real quick?
Sure can.
First of all, what I'm about to say kind of goes back to how I set this whole conversation up, Jeff. It's I say yes. Remember how I started off? I'm going to say yes and no to all things because I see the hypocrisy. I actually said this up front. I see this hypocrisy. I don't know what changed. I don't know if he saw something we don't see. You just said no president, no leader of a country is going to come out and go, by the way, here's the complete undercarriage over here's all our private parts. We're going to put it on the table and show what we got and what we don't got. They're going to give us just enough and then use the rest of it to make decisions behind the scenes. They've all done that. That's the way businesses work, governments work. So when you say immediate threat, I don't know what's on the table on that. It doesn't look like it except down the road. And also the immediate threat is, do we want to wait till they are the immediate threat for them to actually, now they're stronger and we're going to go try to do this. Goals. I think they have goals. I think it's why he kind of alluded to a 4-week thing. I think there are goals in place. We'll see. Then you went on, and this is where I'm going to have a hard time with it. Undefined wins. I think there'll be some defined wins. I think, again, I just said that at the beginning, Vietnam, the Iraq war. If he comes out with no defined wins, he's going to screw himself But now here's the one that
he says he has several off ramps.
He does
use that phrase.
That's so again. I've not heard. We didn't hear that in the other ones.
Not shared with us, but I understand.
Again, I think he's probably keeping those close to his vest. So the negotiating skills I want to talk about in the polls, because this is what I thought about this weekend. If I right now think if you're boxing or something, or if you're doing anything in competition, you look at another team and you're 7-8, or you've won 7 and lost 3, and your track record's pretty good. And I'm going to use the negotiation as a comparison. And you think I am a good negotiator. I've got a history of winning more than I lose. If I look at a situation, he screwed up. By the way, it says twice he's messed up on this, by the way. He screwed up when he said about Russia, I can end it day one. Mm-hmm. And he screwed up on this one. No, you're bad at negotiating if you have to use force. Other ones this has worked on. He's got what he wanted through tough talk and action. But there are those out there, Jeff, that once you get into the room and you're actually in the ring with them, you go, oh, this is way different than I thought it was. So I think what he did against Obama, that was called rhetoric and running for office. I think that was bullshit. And I think he's finding out you cannot deal with people the same as you think you can deal with them once you're in the fray. So I just think he outjumped his coverage on this one. I think he said something that he got in there and went, okay, I was wrong. I was wrong. He won't come out and say it, but clearly he was wrong. And the polls thing, he knows damn well this is going to kill his polls. I don't think he's doing this to make his polls go up.
In 2020, he just, one of his big statements was, I'm the only president who didn't start a war. And he's the peace president.
If this ends in 4 or 6 weeks, I get it. But right now, I agreed to this. It looks hypocrisy.
It's just crazy. I think again, I'm looking for the managed transition here. And what I'm saying, the best case of is a mess and possibly a civil war.
Right.
Here's what I know for a fact. This you can take this one to the bank. We have never, ever, ever exacted a regime change through airstrikes alone. It's never happened.
This is where I think me and you are going to
regime change is not going to happen unless we have boots on the ground. Maybe they don't have to be U.S. boots, but there's going to have to be boots on the ground.
I think that's why he's telling the civilians they're going to be the boots on the ground. I think he's going to say you're the boots on the ground for this one. And the other danger I see in this is zooming out is my take on when not Jeff Styles, when the media has spent years finding things that are almost lies, they want to call lies, half-truths that aren't right, that they know are not in good faith. When you get into situations like this, we have created such a atmosphere of distrust and mistrust on both sides that when anybody we disagree with does something, we either are immediately question it, and if they say something, we immediately don't trust it. And it's a very dangerous place to be, especially with the stakes.
We all ought to be in 100% total agreement that the government lies to us all the time.
Constantly.
I don't care who's in charge of the government. The government is lying to us almost constantly when their mouths are moving.
Have you seen the comedian that said this? He goes, any of your conspiracy theories out there? Now, he was an African-American guy, so I won't use his language because I would get death threats.
Yeah.
But he goes, so you think the government doesn't lie to us? They're just batting 1,000? I've got one kid. I lie to that little kid all the time. So with that in mind, they lie constantly.
A couple of just the questions. These are just questions. We've got this entire debate going on inside this country right now about the funding of the DHS. Remember, the DHS is closed right now. We have a partial government shutdown because of immigration in this country and the way immigration policy is being dictated and carried out. And I have stated my case again and again and again that closing down, shutting down the government as a tool is a ridiculous plan of governance. Now, we're looking at the very real possibility of internal domestic attacks, which we've already touched on, only reinvigorated. And now, I mean, really pretty much with in-game status for those who might be doing it with the cells inside our country, and DHS is unfunded. That's a very problematic place to be.
Yep.
I have no idea what to say to the people on my side other than the fact that this is a very dangerous game. Our infrastructure is at risk, and this is a fight that's worthy of fighting. But right now, again, things change. Maybe it's time to actually loosen up with this hand so we can fight back with this hand. You got to be able to punch with one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? The other one, the big one in my mind is that I just wonder how this is supposed to work, and I'm trying to get in the head of the administration.
Well, ask me, I'll be able to.
And we're promising immunity to those who lay down their arms inside Iran, to the army, the military, those that were out there riding around in the unmarked vans, jumping out with sticks and wailing on women because they had their hair exposed. We're saying that we are going to give you immunity now. Take the deal now, because only death will await you later. These are the people that just killed up to 20,000 of their own citizens when people took to the streets to protest the regime that we've just destroyed. Do you really think that the Iranian people are going to be able to look past that and do like they did in South Africa with apartheid and have, well, we're going to have some sort of reconciliation? Where's that immunity coming from?
Yeah.
If we don't have control of the government and boots on the ground, I'm going to just put it out there, we're making empty promises that we can't keep to the people, saying, you lay down your arms now, throw over to the other side, to the good guy side, and we will be able to give you immunity from and essentially promise you that we will not retaliate for the fact that you killed 27 people as a sharpshooter during the protest. I don't see how we're able to make that promise.
Well, can I parse words?
Yeah, of course you can.
I mean, you're immune from our revenge and justice. That's what I'm saying. I mean, man, hey, listen, you throw your weapons down right now, we won't kill you or enact any kind of revenge on you right now. I don't know if he's actually speaking for 6 months, a year down the road from the Iranians that may be in charge then. He might have been. I didn't hear them say that, so I don't know.
I said 27% of the Insta poll that Reuters did said they supported what was going on. It's smaller than the normal third. Last week, a poll came out and said 75%, as we were talking about the possibility of war with Iran, 75% of Americans, both parties and independents, said that Congress has to be in charge of declaring war. So again, and again, there's a rah-rah thing that happens right after something like this happens. Again, we just did a brilliant military maneuver. So there's a pride and a patriotism that surges through most red-blooded Americans going, God, we're badass. But is that going to be enough to make them change their mind? Isn't Congress supposed to be the one that declares war? And when they're using the word war, you can't go back and say, well, it's the police.
But there's the War Act. You have 60 days. He's done and again, I don't mind this. What I'm about to say is not to Jeff. I don't mind this conversation as long as the same people are saying it now. We're saying it under Obama and Clinton. Obama did this stuff constantly. He killed way more people through drones and strikes than Trump ever did, and he never got permission. So I'm okay with the conversation. Now let's see if Trump follows through and follows protocol.
Thank our sponsors one more time. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to roll through about 4 or 5 minutes of non-war related headlines.
This is perfect. I love our sponsors, Guardian Investment Advisors, our buddy Gary Thurman, the Vascular Institute of Chattanooga. I'm a patient, which means if you've got circulatory issues, especially in your legs, wounds that don't heal, you've been to a doctor, maybe you don't like what's going on, you've got pain that you're living with, they get you in very quickly. I love those folks. Alchemy Med Spa, I think I say this every time, but they have given me a facial. I don't know if you know, it's made me look as good as they can do. They did great work. But I also love all of our sponsors. It's part of the Nuga Podcast Network. And we're sitting here in a studio that's been helped to be built by Airspace Acoustics, Team Monteith Real Estate, Ballinger and Associates, and Nutrition World.
I'm going to say the same thing that Clint did. I'm going to say it with a different tone and a different take. Y'all did the best you could.
Oh, my face.
You did the best you could. Yeah. Feel good about your effort.
Look at this right here. When I do this with my head, look at this. Look at that. Look at that right there. I got a big fat strip of bacon, and then it goes into the moon.
I got a straight razor and some crazy glue and duct tape.
Look at that.
We can straighten that thing out.
I don't know, man. That's terrible.
Okay, a nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says, yes, I mentioned this last week, the big, beautiful bill, all the stuff that was in it. I said that we had Medicare A had lost 12 years of solvency. They're in total agreement on that. They said essentially now it will run dry 12 years earlier than originally thought. It will run dry in the year 2040. This is more important. Social Security now looking at 5 years of solvency. It will be done by the year 2031. So your prediction that you won't ever see a penny of it, Clint, is becoming truer and truer.
By the way, Sean Lair said, good show, Clint. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate it. And by the way, I know you know this, but it running out has not a Trump thing. It's been on the clock to run out.
Not.
But a lot of young people listen to stuff like this and they go, it's running out.
They're saying that the big, beautiful bill was it gave it retro fuel. I mean, it gave it a boost.
Well, that's why he's trying to do the 401k and stuff and try to fix it, because if we'd done nothing, it was going to run out just a few years later. So.
$5 billion in disaster relief about to be released by the federal government. Not one blue state getting a penny of it. let's get beyond this, folks. Again, he's president of all the people.
What is this called?
This administration,
is this
disaster
FEMA?
relief.
Oh,
yeah,
FEMA.
You've got to represent all of America. You've got to represent all of America. That was what you ran on. That is your job description. We had the 3 dead, 14 wounded in the mass shooting at Austin, 2:00 Sunday. We mentioned that. It's a place called Buford's. The Del Monte collapse that happened last summer. Most of the farmers that were already in the funnel were guaranteed that everything was going to be okay for a while. They were in a reorganization bankruptcy. Del Monte has now said they're basically closing their doors, which means the peach farmers, most of which are now in California, are screwed, blued, and tattooed. They basically have crops in the field that are not going to go into cans or any kind of preserves anywhere near you. A kind of a desperate situation for a lot of farmers out there. January inflation rate was up just 0.2%, but wholesale prices were up 2.9% in January. That is an absolute 100% guarantee. Those will be passed on to you. This isn't going to be some corporation importing something and paying a tariff and eating it. This is wholesale prices being paid by Food City, Kroger, the convenience store, Dollar General. All of that's going to be passed down to us, the general consumer. We're going to see prices go up again. There's going to be a major uptick in inflation. Trump ordering all government contracts with Anthropic to be null and void and discontinued over their refusal to have ethical guidelines that they have stuck to. And they've said, you know what, we talked about this on Friday, we can do without the government contracts. We will be heroes in other people's eyes. They refused to work on any government program that would entail mass surveillance of American citizens or the production of autonomous weapons. This was what they said, a line they would not cross. Pete Hegseth said they were woke, essentially saying, I think to them, you will work with us by our definition and our rules, or we will not work with you. We'll call you woke. But essentially, I think we all agree with what Anthropic was trying to do. We also mentioned the fact that they pulled their promise to essentially take off the table as a guarantee to the average regular user of their product, Claude. Claude is the name of their chat GPT. Anybody who uses Claude, we promise not to build an AI so big and so powerful we cannot control it. They took that promise off the table. But we were talking about this whole, loggerhead situation between Anthropic, which is deeply ingrained in the Defense Department right now. And there is a huge, and Hegseth said it would be a threat to the supply chain. They're literally saying to us and to them, the government is saying, and Pete Hegseth and the Department of War are saying, we want to surveil America, and we want to build autonomous weapons that will not require a human eye or finger on a trigger. We want to do that. And if you don't want to work with us, then guess what? Sam Altman and OpenAI definitely will. This should be of a concern to everybody. Sam Altman jumped at the chance. He has no ethical guidelines, no guardrails whatsoever, and I'm afraid the other AI companies are going to be there. By the way, there's a massive movement now among Joe Sixpacks out here who used ChatGPT, including yourself, a huge movement to drop it and to pick up Claude to show their support for this guy. Claude is now the new number one app, and the guy, the CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amati, said there is a tsunami coming. I'm actually going to pick up his actual quote because I think it's absolutely fascinating. So give me just a second while my phone kind of gears up here. He said there is a tsunami coming. He said all office tasks in America will be done by AI within 1.5 years from now. Half of all white-collar jobs are going to be gone within 3 years of now. Here's his quote. Again, his name is, I've already mentioned it once, and forgive me, Dario Amati said, it's surprising to me that we are, in my view, so close to these models reaching human-level intelligence, and yet there doesn't seem to be a wider recognition in society of what's about to happen. It's as if the tsunami is coming at us and it's so close we can see it on the horizon, and yet people are coming up with these explanations. It's not a tsunami, it's just a trick of the light. This is scary shit, y'all. This is what half of all office jobs, half of all office jobs, 100%, half of all white collar jobs, and people are being taken off of all kinds of government benefit programs from SNAP to Medicaid, and there's no jobs available. We know the job market is shitty right now. It's terrible, and it's about to get much, much, much worse.
I don't know if it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Oh, okay. Well, the numbers just came out. They're not that terrible.
I know. Again, we talked about how those numbers get fudged and how things change. Again.
But we didn't call them terrible. Okay, I got you.
I think the job market is shit right now.
Okay.
Everybody I know who's looking, and the people who are applying are finding out that basically if they do 200 job applications online, 195 of those are only feeding the AI that is being designed to replace them.
Yeah.
They're just gleaning information.
I did a whole short thing on this one. That I understand. I know where that article came from, Business Insider, and there's a whole lot that's just not true about that. I'm not going to do it now, but yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I also think we see what we look for in life. If these same unemployment numbers were out 3 or 4 years ago, everybody been saying different.
Woke derangement syndrome is in full effect. Hegseth, again, I don't know why this guy's still there, ordering that no service member can attend any Ivy League school. It started with Harvard, then they added Princeton, then they added Columbia. They just said no Ivy League school. We don't want our people basically coming from the best schools in America. Remember when Donald Trump said for air traffic controllers, we're only going to accept geniuses from MIT. You don't go to MIT and get a degree to be an air traffic controller at $70,000 a year.
Right.
This is just them stepping in because of the war on woke, hurting themselves, hurting others. And again,
but there are people that say
education is capitalism. It's still capitalism.
I got you.
It's the government saying this is how we're going to do it. We're going to take all of our chips and go away. It's just a stupid idea. It's drawing a line in the sand that doesn't need to be there. You can go to Harvard and not emerge, an effeminate trans, man who wears pink and wants to dance to, Pink Pony Club. I'm sorry. It's just they're not making liberals. Maybe more liberals are attracted to that kind of higher education. There's nobody going in there at the age of 18 that's being transformed into some mutated woke robot.
I disagree with that. I think the college institutions have been hijacked. We can have a whole podcast on that. But I will say, I think the swing towards DEI, making everything based off things we can't control, like your skin color, we got to hit quotas. But I don't think the swing back the other way is going to help anybody at all. I think there's a way to achieve stuff without saying we're not going to accept applicants from certain schools.
The DOJ
change the relationship between the government and colleges.
The DOJ charges 30 more protesters from Minnesota church debacle. That horrible protest there. Scouting has agreed that they will end DEI, and they took one merit badge off the table, but they refused to change their name back to Boy Scouts of America and refused Scouting of America to basically kick the girls out. So that's a compromise, I guess. Again, this was Pete Hegseth.
Well, we had Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. I didn't understand.
I know that. Anyway. Well, now it's Scouting of America is the overall. They just said there's certain things, there's certain bridges we will not cross. And that's one of them. They took a merit badge. I don't even know which one it was off the table. Maybe it was dancing to Pink Pony Club. I don't know. Home mortgage rate drops below 6%. It's 5.98 for the first time since September of 2022. Morgan & Morgan ads here locally. I mentioned this a couple of months ago. It's getting more and more pointed now. They're running ads constantly that say, if you have been taken advantage of by an ambulance-chasing local firm, this is what they keep saying, local firm. They call them rudders. There's all kinds of phrases that the people in the legal term in the world use. They say if they show up at your hospital bed after a wreck, we will sue them out of existence. Contact us. If you had an attorney that showed up at your accident site or your hospital bed and they didn't win for you, contact us and we will sue them. So the world's largest injury firm in the world, Morgan & Morgan, is now saying they are going to go after McMahon Law Firm, after Warren and Griffin, after any of the
So I'm going to make
people.
sure the big fish are going to eat the medium fish?
Yes.
Okay.
They'll eat the small fish.
Okay.
And are calling them every name in the book. They clearly believe that there's money to be had by going after these smaller firms.
Can I, before you wrap it up, can I give something real quick? We're doing fine. I wanted to do the details because this confused me or worried me a little bit about.
Let me finish. I'll finish now.
Oh, no, my bad. I'm sorry.
Neil Sedaka dead at 86. Child prodigy, teen star. Neil Sedaka.
Okay. I didn't hear
Sedaka is back.
Yeah.
He started, I think, 1963. Breaking Up is Hard to Do. Calendar Girl. I love my little calendar girl.
Yeah.
And then he completely disappeared 1974, he met Elton John. Elton John said, the market's really ripe for you to make a comeback right now. He released the album Sedaka's Back, which had Laughter in the Rain, My Eyes Adored You, and he wrote the song Love Will Keep Us Together, which was done by Captain and Tennille, and immediately made him a multimillionaire again. One song. Jack Galloway dead at 80, a well-known runner across the country. For those who run on purpose, I don't understand your life.
Me neither.
He's the one that started the Peachtree Marathon. He was greatly respected. We got the Worm Moon Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning. It's as full as it needs to be right now. It's a full moon, but it will reach total fullness. And of course, we also have it combining with a total lunar eclipse in the western part of the United States. We will see the blood moon. There's a total lunar eclipse. We will not see the moon completely disappear. We will get the blood moon effect here. The next one we get will be New Year's Eve 2028 going into 2029.
Oh, wow.
I'm done.
Oh, well, I just wanted to, I'm always interested in the details around the FEMA disaster funding. So this is as of March 2026. Here's red states that are receiving funds now. Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Georgia still waiting or pending. Indiana, Kentucky, others depending on declarations they have to make. Key point, no red state has been denied aid due to politics, delays, or due to FEMA processing and pending disaster declarations. Blue states receiving funds now. Some have approved declarations through New Jersey. Others still waiting for the money to be released. California, Illinois, Minnesota, Colorado, Michigan, Oregon, Maryland, and Vermont. The reasons for delay is the same as it is with the other red states. Their funding has not been released yet because their declarations have not been finished and hold on, let me go down. And turned in, basically. Bottom line, disaster funding is based on the declarations and eligibility and and when they turn them in. It's all of this is still pending. But to your point, right now, more by a ton, more red states, 3 red states have been approved, and only 1, New Jersey, has been approved. So I just thought there was details.
Sitting there waiting.
And then there's 4 red states. So I'm just showing that out there, that it's not simply if you're red, you're getting it, and if you're blue, you're not. Again, I always like to say, there may be some politics in this, 100%. It should be bullshit. Whether
not may.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same way when you're not going to talk to disaster people because there's a Trump sign in their yard when there's a disaster. There may not be may. My point on that is there's always nuances, though, that can make us think there is, maybe not. That's all I was trying to say.
I'm done.
We're on video. You can't just be done.
I'm done.
You can't be done. You can't be done. Damn, he's done. Oh, look how sweet Jeff is when he's sleeping. That's the first time I've ever said that. I've never seen Jeff sleep. Bye.